Dastardly lore with Platinum WoW and the Lore Master. That's right, Dastardly Duos is our new piece of content that we'll be getting very soon here, June 3rd, I believe. So it's the next reset. This thing is coming out. We're going to be able to fight against some of the old bosses from World of Warcraft in an arena, get some cool loot, you know, little toys and other things. But there's actually lore behind this thing. Let's see what this lore is from the WoW channel here with Platinum WoW and our Lore Master.
Hi, I'm Platinum WoW, and I'm here with Sean Copeland to talk about some of the obscure lore in the new Dastardly.
I've actually never seen Platinum WoW's face, and I'm kind of shocked right now. I expected him to look more nerdy. This is interesting.
Event.
Look
Thanks
behind
for
the
joining me,
curtain.
Sean.
Oh, happy to be here.
You're a guy with so much lore knowledge. The world of Azeroth is in your head.
Like I said, I keep removing childhood memories to stuff more Azeroth lore back in there, but it's worth it. But I hear that we're here to talk about some Dastardly Duos.
Yes,
All right.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I think we should start off with Shadowfang Keep. There's a couple bosses that are in there. First, we have Baron Silverlane, who's like that ghost guy that's in the dungeon. I mean, he was the previous ruler of Shadowfang Keep, right? And then Archmage Arugal and all of his Worgen came in and killed him and all of his family.
Yeah, dude, like
it's brutal.
Also, that was a mistake.
Yeah, the Worgen were summoned from the Emerald Dream from Archmage Arugal.
Yeah.
Because again, Greymane was like, okay, there's a whole bunch of Scourge. They're gonna invade Gilneas, right? We have the Greymane wall, but it's gonna break.
Yes.
So we need to do something. So he's like, okay, I can like summon these evil werewolf people from another dimension, and maybe that will help.
Yeah, he had no idea who they were.
And it did help for a time. You know, it killed all the zombies
And so begins the Worgen curse,
and stuff, and then it started killing all of the soldiers and innocents and turning people into Worgen.
And also, like, the Blight was also a contagion. Those soldiers had to go home. So they brought that curse with them, and then all of a sudden, the Worgen curse started being this nefarious thing in Gilneas. But there's two other guys that are involved in current lore when it comes to Shadowfang Keep. Lord Walden and...
Godfrey, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
He was one of Gen Greymane's nobles. I believe he was actually the guy to pitch the Greymane wall being built there, right? And kind of locking away Shadowfang Keep from the rest of Gilneas.
The wall was the answer to what costs were incurred after the Alliance won the Second War. With the Alliance, it's all about helping one another. It's all about, you know, kingdoms coming together against a greater threat. And they're like, yeah, no, that's not for me anymore. We're just gonna build this tall wall and y'all can just, you know, deal with this thing.
That's right, build the wall, boys. Yeah, we've heard about this in real life, right? Build the wall. Keep the people out and keep the bad things out. Look, here's the thing. The wall actually worked for a really long time. It was, you know, you might talk about it now and say, oh, that was a shit idea, or they shouldn't have isolated themselves from the Alliance. But it actually held back for quite a while before eventually, you know, the Worgen curse leaked in. Keep the dirty green orcs out. Well, yeah, that's not what they were trying to keep out. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could have worked against orcs as well.
You know, it worked for a time until,
Until, you know, the Scourge were like banging on the door during twice, yes. And they're like, nah, it's fine, we can handle the wall standing. I mean,
there's a cool thing about Gen and Godfrey and Walden, and I'm sure some other nobles, Ashbury, I think. And when the curse was spreading across Gilneas, it was kind of a secret. So them and all the nobles would go out and hunt the Worgen themselves to try and keep a secret from everybody else.
Cage
and
them
that's
up.
how Gen got big.
Exactly.
Yeah. That moment, Godfrey and them, they went to Shadowfang Keep, and that's where they were holed up until the adventurers would meet them later. And also, I know he had a crony. I think that was Lord Walden.
Yeah.
He was the right-hand man, and he was just trying to support Godfrey, correct?
Yeah, he's like his little buddy that helped with taking over Shadowfang Keep. Back during Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Right, because the dungeon gets revamped. So instead of a bunch of Worgen being there, it's a bunch of undead. So another one of the bosses in Dastardly Duos is Chrono Lord.
I love the Shadowfang Keep lore. The orcs are causing undue strain on the Alliance economy, sending millions of gold back to Kalimdor, so no longer circulating within the Eastern Kingdoms. Well, you know what we got to do then? Got to implement some tariffs. That's right, some tariffs on things that are exported from Kalimdor. No longer will the Eastern Kingdoms accept products from Kalimdor. These cheaply made products without implementing tariffs on it. That's what needs to happen.
Epoch.
Yes.
He's one of the bosses that is in the culling of Stratholme.
Make the Eastern Kingdoms great again.
Of time. Basically what it is, the infected grain was being spread through Lordaeron, so people were turning into the undead. The Cult of the Damned spread all that grain. And Stratholme, all the citizens were infected by the grain. They were going to turn into zombies.
Yes.
So Arthas kind of...
It was inevitable. They were going to turn into zombies, and Arthas decided, I will sacrifice the few to save the many. A decision that is questionable looking back at the past, right? People say, did he make the right decision? If Uther and the rest of the Order had helped him make this decision, could they have stopped the Scourge right there? Then and there it would have ended. Infected grain? Is this The Last of Us? No. Sub bitches running late. Yeah, well, here's the thing. You might be running late, but the grain is running poison.
And it took it upon himself to be like, well, before they turn into zombies, I'm going to deal with this. Right?
They're going to die, They should do it by my hand, right?
Exactly.
And that whole instance, actually, when I was doing it, I was like, why are we helping Arthas? Like, he's doing something awful. He's killing innocent people.
Yeah.
Why does this have to happen? Well, it's actually a canon moment for the entirety of Warcraft. That needs to happen, so... It was awful that we had to help him do the dastardly thing he was going to do, but the Infinite Dragonflight, they're always about trying to bring about a certain future to this main timeline of ours. So something that would help them do that would be to, I don't know, change an event that is so mega like that to bring about Murazond. We have to help Arthas do his bad thing, but we also have to stop the Infinite Dragon from stopping him from doing his bad thing. So are we the heroes or are we the villains of this story?
I think it's a gray area, but I think like the Chrono Lord, his problem is that his solution to break the time ways is to attack us. I feel like if he just showed up and said, hey, adventurers, I have some loot. You could not help Arthas and you can come join me.
I'd go.
I feel like you'd have a much easier...
The Infinite Dragonflight, by the way, we still don't really know if they're good or bad. We don't. We know that they're trying to bring about an alternate future, but we have no idea what that future brings. Maybe it's a better future. Who knows? The Infinite, the one thing about the Titans is they've always believed in the one true timeline, right? They're always the one truth and everything else, whereas the Void and the Infinite Dragons believe in many futures, right? But many possibilities. So everything that's ever been shown to the Bronze Dragonflight is Titan-esque. It's that single future, that single path forward. And they've never really had their eyes open to anything else, any other possibilities. The possibilities that could be better. So maybe the Calling of Stratholme doesn't happen and then the world turns out better for it.
Your time.
No Lich King, maybe? I don't know.
I know that they also have like a playbook that they're going from. They don't always send an assassin to go out and take care of this one bad time. Sometimes they try to do it super subtly. So the fact that they were straight trying to get Arthas off the books that was desperation. It was some serious desperation. But yeah, we had to make sure that he did the evil thing, and he did. Yay, we took out Stratholme.
And we helped.
Yeah, we
helped.
have to
deal with that.
Not icky at all.
That weight on our shoulders.
Love that dungeon.
Think we should talk about Skolamance?
I think we should. So Skolamance, it used to be a manor of the Barrow family, right? And the Barrow family, they owned a lot of property in Lordaeron. It was like South Shore,
Brill,
Terranville, and Cairdarrow. So yeah, they owned a whole bunch of property. And they're very rich.
I didn't know this.
And what do rich people want to do? They want to hold on to their wealth forever.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Kel'Thuzad shows up, leader of the Cult of the Damned. Again, Cult of the Damned, represent. He says, I can have you guys live forever if you give me Cairdarrow. And did he also want all their other properties, or how did that go?
Oh yeah, he wanted Skolamance before it was known.
What the hell? I mean, Kel'Thuzad was a real estate agent? What's going on here? I didn't know any of this lore.
As Skolamance. And when they said, yes, who doesn't want to live forever? I'll sign on the dotted line, Mr. Thuzad. Why are you bringing in skeletons? He turned the entire manor into the center of necromancy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the whole Barrow family, too, was killed. They're all turned into zombies. They kind of got their wish, right?
Jandis definitely did, for sure.
Yeah. They were doing a whole bunch of necromancy stuff, and one of the things that they created there was Rattlegore.
Yes. Right? Rattlegore, another golem.
Yes.
Mages love their golems, man. Specifically for Rattlegore, though, he kind of got a makeover, as it were. Originally, he was just a bone golem, but the gentleman that's running Skolamance, his name is Darkmaster Gandling. He looked at Rattlegore and he's like, I can make it worse. He imbued Rattlegore with this desire to consume, this desire to eat anything. It makes a perfect guard dog for sure, but I hope it never gets off its leash, because that is one fearsome guard dog.
So also in the Dastardly duos, we have two bosses from the revamped version of the Dead Mines. Now, this version of Dead Mines is kind of different, right?
Yeah.
Because the leader of the Defias Brotherhood now is Vanessa Van Cleef, who is the daughter of Edwin Van.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Look at that. Look at that transmog, man. Look, the Van Cleef. So far, all these, by the way, all these bads he's talking about, these are the true baddies of World of Warcraft, man. The morally gray baddies. I mean, the Defias Brotherhood, were they really bad, or were they just not being paid off by Stormwind and they were freaking right in trying to get their money? Because at the end of the day, that's all they wanted. They wanted their money back, so they went into Westfall, which was the breadbasket of Stormwind, right? That was known to be the place of their grain and everything else. They used to light those fields on fire, try to bait the guards out, and then they would fight the guards and kill them off. The whole struggle of the Defias Brotherhood was to get paid for all the statues and stonework that they built. They were the stonemasons of Stormwind, and they never got paid. Complete bullshit. So, I mean, those guys morally gray. Arthas's decision with Stratham, was it the right, morally gray? You know, he was trying to do the right thing and stopping the plague from spreading. A lot of Kel'Thuzad, nothing morally gray about him. But even you could talk about Gilneas and all that lore, and how were they right to isolate themselves? Isolation is trying to keep the curse of the Worgen out. See, one thing about all these villains that's really cool is they all have these kind of tendencies to where you can agree with them a little bit, right? Like there was pieces of their lore that you kind of could agree with in the things they did. And now I feel like Blizzard kind of shies away from that stuff. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. They don't like morally gray villains anymore. Even you could even say Garrosh had morally gray moments, right? Where you're like, oh yeah, he's just trying to help the Horde. He's trying to make the Horde better. And that's why he's doing what he's doing. At the end of the day, now the villains are just more, villainy. You can't really agree with them, and I feel like Blizzard feels more comfortable with that because they don't want people talking about genociding an entire city as potentially being a good thing. Yeah, Garrosh did nothing wrong. That's right. I don't think Blizzard likes those statements, right? Or Arthas did nothing wrong. So now they're trying to make sure that their villains do wrong things. It started with Sylvanas, who really had nothing morally gray about her by the time her lore finished out. It was just shit. And we haven't had really good villains since then. Eridicron, it's got a chance to be a morally great villain. We'll see.
The daughter of Edwin Van
also, Vanessa's fucking hot as shit.
Cleef, who we killed back in Classic, and she kind of witnessed his murder and now wants to take revenge against us. And she's kind of amassing a bunch of different thugs and people to hire to take revenge, right?
And to finish that juggernaut in the actual Death Mines and bring that thing to Stormwind.
Yeah. The first boss is Glubtalk, which is one of the people that she hired, who's a two-headed ogre.
Yeah.
And he's quite powerful. He
Muggsy.
literally explodes after we kill him, overwhelming with power, right?
And that's apparently in his history, that's what he did to his own ogre mound too, from what I understand.
Blew up his own ogre mound.
We should probably talk about what a two-headed ogre is though for folks, right? Because they're not your standard ogres.
Yeah.
Two-headed ogres were a rare occurrence. Like Cho'Gall was a naturally born two-headed ogre. The ogres have then thought, two heads makes them smarter, probably even stronger as a spellcaster. We should make more of those. They actually started creating two-headed ogres. So when we see him in the modern day, we can thank one person for that, Cho'Gall. He was there knowing how they were created, and he gave that information to Gul'dan.
I think we'd make a really good two-headed ogre. Another boss that is going to be in Dastardly Duos that is in the Cataclysm version of Dead Mines is Faux Reaper. Is it 5,000?
5,000, the newest of the line. Faux Reaper is a harvest golem.
Yeah.
What is a harvest golem? Well, these are golems that farmers would create to help them to scythe their wheat, to help them in the farmlands. Another fun little piece of lore. They made these reefers, but they also made little tiny versions to help the big ones, so they would get little weeds and they also pick up the seeds.
And they'd be really cute if they didn't have like knives for fingers. Like I think people don't like
Edward
fully
Scissorhand
recognize that they're some of the scariest mobs in World of Warcraft. I mean, the one that is in the revamped version of the Dead Mines is huge.
I personally still have nightmares back from Classic WoW, running around in Westfall trying to level up, and just you hear the sound of the Harvest Golem coming for you. You catch aggro by accident, you suddenly hear that mechanical sound of them chasing you down, and the more you ran around, the more you aggroed more Harvest Golems. I probably died more to Harvest Golems than a lot of mounts. Probably Murlocs and Harvest Golems killed me more than anything in this game, especially playing back in vanilla.
Huge. And he randomly fixates on somebody, and yeah, it'd be horrifying. Fighting that plus another boss.
They were terrifying.
I think that the Dastardly Duo event that we're going to be
Knowles
encountering
maybe too.
soon deals with a really cool dungeon from the Burning Crusade expansion.
Yes, it's the Steam Vaults.
Yes.
It's a part of the Coilfang Reservoir, and it's kind of Lady Vash's whole thing in the Outland. Her whole plan was to suck up all of the water out of Outlands.
Suck
to
off,
control
what?
the water.
Yeah.
It was all about control with Illidan, and he was the Lord of Outland, so he sent Vosh to go out there and he's like, there's water, let's make them want it. Let's control it, let's like, make it ours. But they were going to need some help for that. So I know that they hired an unconventional source of engineering.
Yeah. It was a Leper Gnome, right?
Yes, it was a Leper Gnome.
My first question is, how did they get in contact with a Leper Gnome and get him all the way over?
Are we ever gonna get freaking what's it called? What's their city called? Gnomragon. We ever gonna get Gnomragon back from the Leper Gnomes? They're still there. Till this day, we've technically dealt with astronomical powers now. We have yet to clear out the Leper Gnomes from Gnomragon.
Over to the Outland, but
Had to hire him specifically because they didn't steal him; they actually hired him.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's got good contacts. You know,
He was
got a good agent.
You know, also pretty cool because the Leper Gnomes usually they're not really accepted many places.
Yeah, they're usually just hanging out in Gnomragon.
And they're a little insane. There another one also I think is the combo to that is it's Hydromancer Thespia.
Yes, who is a Naga.
Yeah.
She's one of Lady Vosh's closest friends, right?
Childhood friend, no less.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it's the sundering of the world. The Well of Eternity blows up. All of the Highborn are sinking into the bottom of the sea. Queen Ajara, leader of the Highborn, gets approached by N'Zoth, right?
A fish.
A fish. A fish.
Right.
And is like, hey, I can save your life and all of your followers. You just gotta like be turned into fish people and serve me.
She took all of her people and didn't even give them the choice. She changed them into Naga as well. So, but Thespia, being a childhood friend and being a Naga apparently doesn't. It's not mutually exclusive. As soon as that happened, she went right back to her friend and wanted to help her. So that's why she's here in Coilfang Reservoir. I also remember another tragic thing. I think this character was really into art and music. But when you become a Naga, other things become important apparently.
Yeah, you can't play your harp when you got like fin hands, so you kind of just start doing evil stuff like hoarding all the water on the world and.
I mean, it makes sense.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I'll send a Hydromancer too. I looked at this one a while ago because I'm like, Hydromancer, so that's a specialization? It actually is. While Arcane Magic allows you to specialize in all its various schools, there's sometimes you can pick one. And she chose water. I don't know why. Maybe it's because she become a Naga.
Yeah,
but it's
makes sense.
Imagine the
Hydromancer. Who wants to be a Hydromancer? It sounds like a shaman thing. I don't know. Didn't we blow up Gnomragon again when we killed the leader? Did we? I know we lit bodies on fire. Did we blow? I don't think we blew up the entire city. I'm pretty sure lore-wise it's still canon that Gnomragon's still there. Maybe we killed their leader, but the Leper Gnomes are still down there just living and doing their thing. Are they? I don't even know. Can Leper Gnomes procreate? Can they repopulate? Because they're still around. Maybe it's just more leper spreading constantly. Or maybe they're having leper children. I have no idea.
skill that must have took to become a Hydromancer specifically, especially when all your background is just art and music.
Yeah.
She had to start from scratch. So what we dealt with in that encounter was everything that she built up and learned and prepared to bring to bear, and
then 5 random people show up, and
it was for naught.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I think, is a story for a lot of Warcraft history, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna perfect this, and it was for nothing. Great.
Yeah, a bunch of random people show up. So while we're talking about Outland, there's another couple bosses that are from the Hellfire Citadel in the Outland, which is kind of the base of operations for all the Fel Orcs working with Illidan. So like normal orcs, they turn green because they drank some Pit Lord blood.
Or it was just exposure to the Fel magic going on around them. Duratan and Draka are the greatest examples of that.
But what if they just kept drinking that demon blood, right? Kept getting ejected into their veins. They turn into Fel Orcs, which
it's like a spectrum. Yeah, they go from brown-skinned orcs all the way to the red, spiky, and scary ones.
Yes, and they are just bloodthirsty, spikes everywhere. The Hellfire Citadel is where they're all kind of hanging out for the most part. One of the first dungeons in the Hellfire Citadel is the Hellfire Ramparts.
Ramparts, yeah.
Where we get to fight
Watchkeeper Garglemar.
Garglemar.
I just remember coming in here with an entire group of Death Knights. 5 Death Knights deep. You used to be able to do that. You just have a bunch of Unholy and Frost DKs. You come in here and you just dominate this shit because you could just heal yourselves and DPS at the same time. Man, DKs were so OP for a while. It was crazy. We were leveling up, I remember, and just running through this shit. All Death Knight groups.
He's amazing, I think. He's one of my favorite bosses.
100%. So you look at Kargath Blade Fist, and it's like, he only has 1 Blade Fist. I want 2.
Yeah, because the Watchkeeper Garglemar, he's a part of the Shattered Hand clan. It's an orcish clan, and one of the initiation rites is you smash your hand, right? And then you cut it off, and then you replace it with a weapon. And Watchkeeper Garglemar's like, you know what? I'm going to do that for both my hands. So he's got 2 weapons instead of hands, and it just...
The question is, how does he wipe? That's we all wondering, everyone's asking. Also, how does he self-pleasure? It's a problem. It's a problem he probably didn't consider before he chopped both hands off. See, one hand, you still have the other one to do functional hand things. Double axes, yeah, it's going to be a problem. He's going to get a razor burn while trying to wipe himself.
Most hardcore thing ever. A part of his lore is that he eats the hearts of his enemies.
Yes.
So I like to think like his little priestly ads that you fight him with is like hand feeding him his hearts like grapes or something like that.
And it's the hearts of people that are either trying to get into the ramparts or just people that were nearby. I mean, that's also how insane demon blood really makes you. They're like,
Definitely.
he was just looking at the Hellfire ramparts. I'm going to eat his heart.
Yeah, and he's got probably my favorite boss in this duos event.
He has minions,
because another thing that I really like about him is that when you get him to a low amount of health, he goes like, heal me, quickly! And I love that because it sounds exactly like me when I'm like doing PvP or something, right?
Heal me!
Yes, exactly, that's what I sound like.
But there was another character that was important in this Dastardly duo.
Brogok?
Brogok.
Yeah, because not all Fel Orcs were cool with like this whole being turned into like these savage, bloodthirsty monsters.
I have to drink demon blood constantly? Where's that in the contract?
Yeah, exactly. So you have people like Brogok, who's an observer, right?
Observer.
And he can do like a lot of like mind control stuff, so he can kind of sway the opinions of people and be like, maybe you should have another glass of that demon blood.
Old gods.
Yeah, because a
kind of
lot of the Fel Orcs, when they started having second thoughts, that's where he came in.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not having second thoughts, you're having more. You're having more of that demon blood.
Yeah.
And after that, you're gonna have more. Otherwise, you're just gonna disappear. I gotta say, first and foremost, I cannot wait to play Dastardly Duos because of the lore that we just dived into. It just reminded me of all the depth that you get to experience.
Super deep cuts, right?
Yeah. Another thing about this gig is like we have all of this lore in our head, and it doesn't help anybody unless we get to share it with people, right?
Exactly.
So I'm really happy that not only I get to share it with you, but we get to share it with the world, man.
Yes.
It's awesome. So hopefully we get to do it again.
I would love to.
Yes.
When are they going to drop? Next week, Tuesday. Yeah, June 3rd, I believe, is the date. Yep, June 3rd. So next reset, Dastardly Duos will go live, and so will all this cool lore. These lore bosses will be back. You'll be able to kill them, get your rank up, get a bunch of cool cosmetics and other things. So yeah, it'll be cool. Veteran gear, I know it's alt-related gear. It's not heroic level gear. So yeah, it might be veteran. But it's really about the transmog and the scoring system, the achievement system. So there'll be a live scoring system. You'll be able to see how you rank against everybody else who's doing Dastardly Duos, and it'll become a thing where people just try to rank up and see how good they can get at it. But nice video here from the WoW channel.